Mm-hmm.
I'm not the stereotypical forgiving heals. Forgiving doesn't have anything to do with healing it didn't have anything to do with healing for me.
Thanks for listening to Guidance in Recovery. I'm Keegan Reed, and every week I speak with guests to honestly explore recovery, sobriety, the struggles that come with it, and find things that help us in our recovery journeys. Today's guest used to tap dance on Broadway. She holds a Guinness World Record, and she overcame a 2-year paralyzing health crisis that took away her ability to walk. Ann Ferri is also a fierce advocate for the biological and spiritual power of water. Listen in for some ways that water does more than hydrate. We can't change our outside world as much as we'd like to, and a lot of us fall into that category. I know myself especially, of like, hey, I want to fix this, I want to help this, I want to do this. But if the inside parts of me are broken and just misaligned, then nothing else really will actually hold and take place and do what it should do. It won't heal the way that it needs to heal. And I mean, I can speak for myself. I've had many of those moments where either on my podcast or someone else's podcast, I've had tears flowing, and it's like, well, yeah, I feel silly. I know I said I felt like a fool at one point, but that was the thing, is that I was also brought up to not cry. You know, I was told to not cry at funerals, and it was one of those things where it was very much a shame if I did cry. And so not too long ago, I actually had one of those moments where I could feel that I needed a big ugly cry coming on, and I was like, where is this really coming from? But then I've also learned that I don't need to necessarily question it in the sense of suppressing it and trying to figure it out, but just to feel it let it out, because then afterwards, like, it was a solid 10 minutes probably of crying and like the snot running everywhere and just like, I can't talk. But afterwards I felt amazing. And it's one of those things that, like, as we have these things, just life happens, everything just builds up, and it gets in the way of having a clear thinking, having clarity in the head, and just being able to have a clear heart too. And I mean,
I think what you said is beautiful. You know, for me, when my father passed away in 2022, I had a spiritual awakening, but some would say a nervous breakdown. And I started to hear him from the other side. And he was worried about me because I was in a situation with a lot of psychopaths around me, and I didn't know what that word meant. My mom was basically a psychopath. You know, so I had to learn all of this and do deeper healing in the last couple years. And what I would say is, I think we're at a turning point right now in time where, you know, everybody's been so, let's get online all the time, AI all the time. I think the new movement is going to be, let's find my authentic self. Let's connect to nature again. Let's have a few genuine friends that we can have honest relationships with and cry and hold space and care about each other. Let's see, like, I think it's going to need to be more intimate in order for us to heal what's going on. We're so outside of ourselves, and we all and I think the more intimate we get, and the more we can actually have a bigger effect, I think, on the shifts happening. You know, I mean, I'll just kind of bring it up, but, you know, the Epstein files were something I've known about for many years, being in different industries and seeing how some people get jobs and some people don't. And being a woman that's attractive, I've had to walk away from a lot of things as well. And so it wasn't a surprise. We've got half the names we may not get, which is a lot of, you know, it's a lot of businesses in different sectors. And I think what it's kind of forced us all to do is, like, why did we put, like, why is somebody always on the pedestal here? And how do we come back into making sure we look in the mirror and realize that the most important thing we should worry about is our own actions and how happy we are? Do we have some love around us? Are we doing things for our environment and for the community, you know, as love? So I'm hoping that this sort of disruption that's happening, that's very much in everybody's face, is a wake-up call to force people to heal more, to go in, to then be more empowered in essence. Does that make sense?
Yeah. No, it totally does. And I agree with you. I do believe that the next shift or the next movement in humanity should be one that is rooted in authenticity and back to nature, because at the moment we're destroying it at record-setting break. Like, it's stupid, but I'm one of those people that love nature. I've been out in nature growing up, and I try to connect with it as often as I can. And I've learned how to be more authentic with myself. And that was the hard part. And I think that we're, and one of those things that you said is like, why is someone always on the pedestal? And I think one of the things that I kind of had this epiphany late last year, and it was, I think people have equated money with moral goodness. And so if you got a lot of money, it means you've done good, and that's not necessarily the case. So I don't know how to get people to get their head out of their ass, for lack of a better term. But that's kind of the thing, is that it just shows that they're good with a business, and business is not being human, and being human is not really being a business. It's self-sovereignty. You know, that is one of the things that we do need, but it's
You're
really
bringing
hard
up
to...
something that I don't mean to cut you off, but like they're bringing up something that's really important here. Through history, the holy person has been prosecuted. So the holy pure, you know, I'm coming into that pureness in my 50s, and that inner child and that playfulness. But people, you know, I say I channel Mr. Rogers, you know, from Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. People thought he was very, you know, haha. But he was actually, there was an intensity to him that people did not know, even though that he played with children and respected them way beyond most people. I think money has been handled in dirty ways, but money is not dirty. Money is supposed to be sacred. And we have to get through this dyslexia, because I think our traumas, unfortunately, have put weight on, we have actually financially backed the fakes or the lies, because we haven't had proper trauma healing. See, I don't think it's a coincidence that the sciences I work with aren't in mental health.
Yeah.
Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, I had to go outside the box, and people have to pay outside the pocket to work with me all over the world. That's not a coincidence. There's a danger when you have a trauma center that heals trauma, because then you see the lies on the stage and you don't invest in them. So unfortunately, they create a system where we're giving them money when we're not really giving them to the proper, holier, pure people, because they're humbler. You know, they're more sincere. You're not as arrogant. So there must be something wrong. You know, you're not, you know what I mean? And I've seen that, like there is a huge ego in certain rooms that play like they know it all, even in the healing spiritual world, and they don't know anything.
No.
Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
But it's just a game. And it's like, for me, I refuse to put those masks on. I will not play those masks, you know? And as a woman, when we look at slavery, trafficking, the stats, we have been sort of targeted more, not, you know, but targeted more, because the evil devil doesn't like the mother, the mother that creates what? Life. Mother, you know, and actually, you know, you start out with water. The devil doesn't like water. The devil doesn't drink water. What does the devil drink? We won't say on here, but we know what the devil drinks, and it's not water.
Yeah. And I mean, it's one of those things that you do bring up a good point. And I think that shame is one of those big things that a lot of people use without even realizing it. You know, I've spoken to Emma Lyons about the shame matrix, and how society is basically built around shame, and how shame is the comfortable space of others, and if you don't fit in their comfortable space, they shame you to make you feel bad. And I was like, oh, wait a minute, hold up. And after realizing that, I've been able to find where I shame myself, and by not shaming myself anymore, I can be more authentic.
I love that. Good for you.
Well, thank you. And
good for you. I've been shamed, and I've been kicked out of a lot of tribes because I refuse to. They want to steal. They want to steal your gifts or your light, but they actually don't want to give you any credit. And they want to, you know, I was just reading something on, we're getting off the subject, but I was just reading something on this one tangent on publishing. because I have a book out, but like the publishing industry has become extremely corrupted.
Wow.
Authors make no money and they don't even know, they can't even look at the reports of sales, like of things. And so you go, what? That wasn't the way it was 30, 40 years ago when you were in publishing. So a lot has shifted. And I think us having these conversations plant seeds in people. Like if you're thinking, you're sitting there and you're down and out and you've been screwed over, betrayed, or banned, you're not alone here.
No.
Hello, you're not alone here, you know, and all I can say is like, you know, the tools that I've used, some of them are really practical and simple, can really make you feel better and just make you help make, you know, some different choices. But, you know, whenever I always say to people, you know, don't beat yourself up for making a mistake. Don't beat yourself up. I did this in the past for not seeing what I say darkness. But just as soon as you see it, say, see ya, out.
Yeah.
Moving on. You know, make a change.
Yeah. And it's really hard to do that, you know, because a lot of the ways that everyone kind of does operate is from the shadow. Yeah. And it's from those parts that are traumatized, the parts that are hurt. And they don't realize that because everyone else around them is doing the same thing. And it's like, it feels weird to be that authentic self because everyone else is being inauthentic. And so it's like, well, shit, if I want to fit in, then what do I do? And to fit in means survival, or at least it used to. Right. You know? And so nowadays it's hard to stand out from the crowd without being on the chopping block, if you will. And there's that saying like the nail that sticks out gets hammered. And it's like, right. That I feel like that's what a lot of society is doing today too, you know, just if someone is saying something that hits a nerve, it's like, oh, well, if I hit a nerve on that, why am I hitting that nerve? And why is it my fault that I triggered that nerve in you? Sure. But, I think too, with podcasts, I feel like there's going to be a shift in the next couple years where more podcasts are going to sort of work with building something. Whatever that is for them, meaning, community within their own circuits, as opposed to, because that's the only way we're going to be able to break out of matrix work in some senses, to build different types of systems. Even for me, like as a practitioner or a teacher, hooking up with a host and doing Zoom classes, you know, for their audience and working in that way in a different sector than going into an organization per se. You know, there's going to be actually more versatile ability in some ways for people to step outside the box even more, especially I think with the exposure that's kind of in all our faces. Yeah. And I mean, but that's the awesome thing too, you know, like technology is both great and somewhat evil. It really depends on whose hands it's in, just kind of like money, you know? Right. And that was one of the things, is that I had to change my relationship with money before I actually started understanding what it really was. And I was always under the impression that it was the root of all evil without actually understanding that it's just a source of energy, you know? It is a way to essentially transmute your thoughts and imagination into physical reality, in a sense. But it's one of those things that had I not seen that I was having a bad relationship with it, then I would still continue to think that it was bad. And I would, as soon as money would hit my account, like I would go and find things to spend it on. But that was like, oh, let's just do this because I need this or I want this. But the root of it was I just didn't want money because I thought it was so bad. You know?
Well, let me say to you, we want good people to have lots of money and then use the money to change the problems that we see. So some of the usage of money is build a trauma center, change the water pipes, put water fountains in all the schools. So when you accumulate money, you set a part of it aside. You have to take care of yourself in whatever that way that means. And then you utilize it for how you interpret and investigate in good. You know, we thought that was going on, but I'll give you an example. Okay. A a lot of times you'll find people that when they're selling big packages for coaching or speaking, or they're doing this or they're that, they're like, a part of it's going to be donated to what we'll call like a poor area of the world. And that donation will be plastic water bottles, which is toxic, and glyphosate food, which is toxic.
Yeah.
My theory is, okay, you may feed them water and food for a day, but why are they poor in the first place?
Yeah.
So if I had the money, I would go to that area, talk and figure it out. Do you need a water well so you have water consistently? Do you need soil? Do you need to understand how to plant food? Do you know what I'm saying? So we don't have that going on enough.
Yeah. Society is very much let's just throw a Band-Aid on it and call it good. And that's how it was for me and my psychiatric needs, you know. For a long time, it was very much like, hey, just take this pill and you'll be okay. But after a while, I could tell that I wasn't really who I was supposed to be. And after I spoke to Dr. Fred Moss, then my whole perspective on mental health, like medicine, changed entirely. And let me tell you, I feel 100 times better. So it's just crazy. And I think that we can do something different, but it does take a lot of that self-work first, you know?
Yeah.
Like in the recovery rooms, they say don't, what is the actual saying? It's you can't advertise by speaking it out and stuff. You just have to be the example. It's just like the saying is, like, be the change you want to see in the world. And we really do have to embody that. So what is one of the things that you help people embody within themselves to be their authentic self? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think, you know, if they're doing a private Zoom coaching session, I think it's being in a space, how do I put this? I have ability when I'm in that, because usually I do a meditation and then I'm sitting across them. I have ability for people to take off their masks. And it's sort of sometimes a confession. And it's just, I'm not going to judge them, whatever it is, but I'm just sort of going to allow them to speak it. Yeah. And once it's spoken, then we can go, okay, we're going to need to do we're going to need to do the ADHD brain protocol. We're going to need to do the childhood brain protocol, or let's look at your diet, or let's look at writing. There is a space in the beginning of healing, if you're a beginner, that you kind of need to be heard. You need to have an enlightened witness. Yep. You just need to be heard or be seen crying. And like, so with women, they'll apologize when they're crying. Like, because if they start crying for more than 5 minutes, it's a big deal. And I'm like, no, I'm just going to sit here and I'm going to allow you to cry. Or I'm going to, sometimes I'm holding them because I'm an energy healer. It just depends on the situation. Depends on their comfort zone. I've had women cry for 20 minutes in a session, pretty hard. Some women need to scream. But what do we do after that? We usually try to do something playful. So I usually try to get them to sing or dance. And it's not for judgment. It's for their inner because we took that out of the schools, which is a disaster, the creative arts in general, which just taps into more of your authentic self. More your authentic self. How do I, even with like, the book that I wrote, there's chapters after each chapter of questions. Yeah. And meditations for people to engage with me or their coach or their healer to start to figure out more. Like, one thing I realized through the brain protocols is like people have some crazy, beautiful stories. Yeah. But they're spending too much time on everybody else. Like we were saying, like they don't know enough about themselves. And then when they start to get into the muscle habit of investing in themselves, they start to like themselves better. They start to realize they have more to offer the world. They have more to offer their relationships intimately. Opens up a door of intimacy, but it's like, it's surprising how little people know about themselves. And I was there in the beginning. Like I was there, so I get it. But for me, it's been a 20-year full-time job. I really, really have done a lot of personal work on myself. So I get it, but I get the power of that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We're not in a society where we're being faced with trauma every day with, unfortunately, our government and our news. They're so traumatic. It's unreal. You know, it's just like, so yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, thank you for just holding a judgment-free zone for people to be able to take off that mask, because I do believe that not only is taking the mask off painful and difficult, but if you aren't validated with your mask off, then it just reinforces the idea of, well, this is why I have my mask on in the first place, you know?
Right. And I don't project. Like, so a lot of the brain protocols, they're not English language. They're just universal sounds. So a lot of my talking, I try not to project. I ask questions and I allow them to talk a lot more than me.
Yeah.
Because when you're a victim of something, which usually tends to be something in addictions, a lot of storylines, you're wanting approval.
Yeah.
So sometimes you'll listen to somebody, it could be a therapist, and they'll say something, you'll be like, well, I guess that's right. Maybe it's not.
Yeah.
So I'm always telling my clients, I may not be right here. Call me out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Don't agree with what I'm saying. If this does not feel in your body right, that's what we have to teach them. But if we're not teaching them that in the beginning, especially, there's this wanting, like, you know, even like the whole forgiveness thing that people ask me questions about. I'm not the stereotypical forgiving heals. Forgiving doesn't have anything to do with healing. It didn't have anything to do with healing for me or a lot of my clients. Healing meant shaking out trauma. Healing meant crying out trauma. I can't change my predator. She does not want to own up to any of it. So when I did at the right moment, she stabbed me in the back again. Because those are what predators do. And my big issue in society is we have to hold predators accountable. There's consequences to physical abuse. There's consequences to sexual abuse. And it's not words, I'm sorry. It's, I've got to pay a debt. And I actually think that's financial, to be honest with you, because there's a financial debt for victims to heal.
Yeah. You've got a really good point there. Yeah. And
nobody talks about this. And the forgiveness thing, if it's done too soon, it's just a lie. I've noticed with a lot of my clients. And then they feel bad. And then they're in this loop that they can't get out of. To me, like, when I'm talking about forgiveness, I mean big, bad things. I'm not talking about, you know, you stole somebody's pencil in second grade. You know, I'm not talking about I lie, a little lie. I'm sorry. Okay. I'm talking about predators doing bad stuff, and then you're supposed to just forgive them. That doesn't heal either party, actually.
Yeah, I agree. You know, like, I do believe that forgiveness can have a place for some people and for some stories and things like that. But I do believe that for me, my forgiveness aspect really was I had to forgive myself and forgive the parts of me that still wish I knew what I did then. You know, I can only do what I did with the knowledge that I had, and that's a tough pill to swallow sometimes. You know,
it definitely is. Yeah, and I think you just nailed it. I wrote a song about forgiving myself that I sing a lot to myself. That's a hard thing for. I speak with, especially with the women. It's a hard thing. You know, to understand, like, how do you forgive yourself? You know, and some of it is just for putting up with bad behavior.
Yeah. Yeah. Putting up with it, or being the cause of other people's, or just the list just goes on. We have to, kind of like we were saying before, we have to be our authentic self, and being authentic means being able to say, hey, past me, like, I apologize, I forgive you, and here we go. Like, we're in it together, so let's win it, you know? And real quick, we are near the end of this episode. So you did say that everyone could find you at heatherannferri.com?
Yep.
Awesome.
That's pretty much all my social media, YouTube, Facebook.
Okay.
Yep.
Cool. And, I mean, you help people through the unknown. You help them get medical grade water, which is awesome. And I mean, water is one of the elements that builds everything around us. And I think that if we
Well, it's
understood,
simple. It's a
uh-huh,
simple thing. It's a simple tool that you don't have to think too much about yet, right?
yeah,
So to me, it's the game changer, like for men. So
hmm,
in all the sales that I've done, it's usually the woman that decides in the household. I'm going to be
mm,
honest with you. I would
okay,
say 9 times out of 10, it's the woman.
hmm,
She's going to have to deal with it the most, especially the medical grade water and cleaning it every couple weeks. And it's very simple.
hmm,
But I will say the stories of the men are very comical afterwards
oh
because the
yeah,
men tend to love it. They feel better. They have more energy,
hmm,
they're sleeping better and all these different qualities. And it's just quite interesting. But even with men's health, with diabetes and cancers and dementia,
hmm,
preventions as well,
hmm,
because having worked in these industries outside the box, I can see that we're not talking preventions.
yeah,
It's a simple tool. It
yeah,
really is. It's just a financial tool, but you're spending the money anyway. Like every
hmm,
household, even like I've been in low income households and you can find a way. Like it's just really interesting to watch when you
hmm,
just make that decision.
yeah, yeah, and I mean, one of the funniest stories that I have to relate to, like water being consumed by men, especially, was my ex-wife. Her family did a lot of custom harvesting, and so they would leave their like packs of water bottles out in the sun. And whenever the big studies first started coming out with BPA, they were like, "Oh, that's why everyone's getting really moody and emotional on site nowadays."
Yeah.
And so they stopped placing it in the sun, and the BPA stopped leaching into the water as much, and they started feeling better. So that was pretty funny. But
Right. Right.
yeah,
Even I hate to say it, but the coffee shops, they're so expensive.
hmm,
We start to add that up even once a month, you pretty much have what you need.
yeah,
Um, and then you start I just see it as being the superhero.
yeah,
You start to not have big corporations make all that money. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like,
yep,
and that's very exciting.
yeah, yep,
Sometimes that's the motivator for people. Like, you got to find their motivation, even when they're traumatized. You got to find what motivates them to do this work. And
hmm,
sometimes it's individual. It's really individual. For me, it was like, I don't want the devil to win.
yeah, yeah. I feel that 100%.
I don't want the dark to win. So I'm going to do whatever I have to do to keep going. And I've had some tough times, and because
Mm,
I've had a lot going at me, because the devil knows.
yeah.
Oh,
Oh yeah, that's for sure.
it definitely knows. So if you're
Yep.
out there and you're like, "Yep, I've got the stories," you're in the right podcast.
Yep.
You found your home here.
Yeah. Well, Heather, thank you for everything that you've enlightened us with today, and I really appreciate it. It's an honor and a pleasure, and I look forward to our next conversation. And everyone else out there, thank you for listening to Retrieving Sanity on WDJY 99.1 FM. And as always, try to love yourself, love others if you can, but you gotta love yourself first. Try to be your favorite version of yourself if you can. And if you're having a mental health crisis, you can dial 988 or text 741-741. And I mean, aside from that, just drink some good water. Don't leave your water bottle out in the sun all day. We'll see y'all next time. Shalom.